Hello, I'm Congressman John Conyers, serving Michigan's 13th Congressional District. I'm delighted to deliver this week's Congressional Black Caucus message to America. This week, let's focus on the root causes of crime and poverty in our communities, particularly urban communities of color. We find ourselves at an important intersection of critical issues. Matters of police-involved violence and over-criminalization are part of a broken criminal justice system that are directly related to the issues of urban poverty. Recent studies reflect that the number of high-poverty urban neighborhoods in the nation's largest cities have tripled over the last 40 years. Increased poverty has resulted in further segregation of neighborhoods and reduction of employment opportunities, access to affordable housing, and educational services. Increased food and transportation costs have all added yet another barrier for working-class families to stay afloat. These conditions make our communities more vulnerable to crime, and the government's knee-jerk response of over-incarceration has deprived our communities of the resources necessary to encourage economic development and crime prevention programs. Mandatory minimum sentencing laws require judges to impose often lengthy prison terms, regardless of the other factors in the case. These policies have resulted in incarceration of 25% of the world's prisoners, despite the United States only has 5% of the world's population. Disproportionate sentencing laws have had a deep impact on high poverty, urban neighborhoods, and minority communities. 1 in 10 black men in their 30s is incarcerated on any given day, and more than 60% of our prisoners are racial and ethnic minorities. Now, to address these matters, I introduced the Law Enforcement Trust and Integrity Act to make police officers more accountable. The End Racial Profiling Act, which would make use of racial profiling in law enforcement. A federal offense, and the Sentencing Reform Act, which would narrow the scope of mandatory minimum prison sentences. While I will continue to work to do even more in the future, these reforms would be a good start to bringing hope to families who've suffered from overly strict sentences. Ultimately, the same amount of energy being poured into reforming our criminal justice system must also be centered on expanding education, job creation, access to affordable health care, and housing and crime prevention programs. Proactive investment in our communities now is vital to a successful future. On behalf of the Congressional Black Caucus, this is Congressman John Conyers of Michigan's 13th Congressional District. Thanks for watching, America.